It's very rare that when we come and go from town that we take the main drag. And yesterday we happened to take the main drag. Now, when I was little, like from the time that I was 1 till the summer before I started kindergarten, so I was 5, we lived in Lansing, Kansas on Main Street. And so we're driving down Main yesterday, leaving town, going to Kansas City, and went past my childhood home there on Main Street. Now, if you're from around here, I spent several years living in what is now the State Farm house, the State Farm Insurance Office's house. As we're driving past it, I remember thinking about this time that a truck rolled from across the street into my bedroom. And that sort of somehow like snowballed me thinking about all the other times that while I lived on Main Street, that I almost died, or could have died, or should have died. I should be dead. So on our way to Kansas City, I got to thinking more. And I came up with four times before I was 5 that I should have died. And I thought, oh, what a great vlog idea. How uplifting and positive and wonderful in this 2020 mess that we're living in. Why not lift people up with my stories of near-death experiences. Now, once you hear these, you're gonna realize that they aren't all like near-death experiences in the Hollywood sense, I suppose. Let's talk more about this truck that came through my house. There was this bar across the street from Main Street, and apparently a man was there and he forgot to put his truck in park. And the truck, the bar sat kind of up quite a bit from my house. So it had some velocity as it's coming down this hill, hops into the highway, crosses the highway, comes into my yard and crashes into my bedroom. I was told by my mother that I was not in my crib at the time, but I don't know. Maybe she just told me that, so I didn't think I had a near-death experience before I was even 1, okay? So yeah, a truck drove into my bedroom and apparently could have killed me as a baby. The second time that I have written down, I think I'm gonna save it for last because it's a doozy. So let's skip to the time that I almost drowned in Eagles Pool. Every town area has an Eagles or a club. It's a club and it's for adults, and they have like taco nights and they play bingo there, and it's like a moose lodge, okay? Our Eagles Club is still in existence. The pool is gone, but it had a pool, and if you belonged to the Eagles Club, you could come swim at their pool, and my parents happened to belong to the Eagles Club. And the pool had a wall, like a cement wall inside of it that split the shallow end from the deep end. And if I remember correctly, I was trying to leave the shallow end to get to my mother in the deep end. And I think she was out there a ways, and I had taken swimming lessons. It wasn't that I couldn't swim. And as I'm coming over this wall, I get stuck. And I have my feet in the water, and my head in the water, and my ass is in the air. And thankfully, some man came over and was able to like scoop me up and take me to the edge where my mother swam to me, and then I got a lot of attention from the lifeguards, and I think I got like a free Coke and maybe like a candy, a Tootsie Roll. I got a Tootsie Roll. Oh my gosh. I got a Tootsie Roll there again one time when I got stung by a wasp. My mom never really talked about it. We never really spoke about it. I think she was afraid, the reality of what just really happened at the pool. And I also think she was terrified of me telling my grandma. She was extremely paranoid of all things, and she would have just told my mom, you can't take him back to that pool. So yeah, I almost drowned. Another time that I felt terrified and like I was going to die was when I thought that I was going to be electrocuted by a bolt of lightning. So Main Street, my bedroom faced Main Street. I had a big window and I was watching a storm out of it. And I remember I mean, I don't have a ton of childhood memories, but I just remember that it was traumatic. That's why it sticks with me. I remember watching it pour down rain. It was, oh man, it was storming so bad. Lightning struck right in the middle of our front yard, like, and I remember it striking, and I remember the sound. It was terrifying. It was deafening, and it splintered out across the ground to my house, to my room, where I'm sitting here watching this happen. And I remember my hair tingling. I mean, I think I was struck by lightning. I don't know. Maybe I was just so close to the electricity that it made my hair stand up. But it was like a tingling, you know, like your hair gets when it stands up. Goosebumps on my head sort of feeling. And I told my parents about it, and they didn't believe me. My dad even went out in the yard to look to see if he could see where lightning had struck the ground. It's crazy to rethink about that. I have some notes on this last one because it's pretty crazy. So there's a little known serial killer that grew up in Lansing, Kansas, and he lived a few blocks from us. Of course, we didn't know he was a serial killer. He was only 16 when this happened. I'm bringing it a little bit closer. This is some crazy stuff, okay? This happened in 1977. It was January. It was 1977. I was 2, almost 3, and my sister would have been about 1.5. My mom was home with us, and thankfully, we never used the front door to our house. We had parking around back and a door out back, and that's where everybody came and went from. The front door was locked because, like I said, we didn't use it. This boy, I have read, was an AB student, and one of his grades dropped to a C, and so he was kind of slowly walking home. Maybe he was afraid of his parents, afraid of, you know, what they were going to say if they realized his grades had dropped, and decided to burglarize my neighbor's house. My neighbor was this elderly woman. Her name was Hazel, and he was hiding in her basement, and she heard a noise, and so she went down to investigate, like, what fell, and he ended up brutally, savagely murdering her. And the police showed up. They found her body in the basement. They were able to trace his bloody footsteps and found him and arrested him. And the footsteps went across my porch and my other neighbor's porch and then down a ways. I don't know the whole story where they found him, but it's something that, a story that was told to me my whole life, and something that I always had been, I guess, fascinated with, like why he chose to do that. What makes Richard Grissom a serial killer? Well, in 1989, 31 years ago, a bunch of women just started going missing, and eventually he was linked to one of them through, he left his wallet behind in her car, and his driver's license and his checkbook, and her blood was in the trunk of her car. And so it was the first time in Johnson County, Kansas, that a guilty murder verdict had been handed down without a body. And he ended up getting charged with the murder of 3 women. There were several others that met the same, they were all went missing in the same sort of scenario. And he's in prison. I think he wasn't, I don't think he was convicted for several years after they died. And I don't think he gets out of prison. I've read 2 different reports, one saying 2092 and one saying 2071. And if he was 16 in 1977, I'm just going to say he's going to be dead in prison. And I think recently he did try to appeal his prison sentence, his prison terms. And by recently, I mean like within the last decade. And of course it got shot down. And what's interesting is when I got online today to look up Richard Grissom, because I wanted to remember the exact year that it happened, just a week ago, somebody did a podcast about him. So he's out there. Had a serial killer for a neighbor, and he killed my neighbor, and he walked across my front porch, and I believe he was trying doorknobs. That's what the police were telling people. He was trying doorknobs to get into another house to hide. I think about Hazel Meeker a lot. She's a name that I don't forget, and what her family had to endure after her, the manner of her death, and, everything they had to deal with. So yeah, I could have, my whole family could have been murdered. I told my kids I was going to make this vlog. Mary asked me, what about times before you were 10 that you died? I'm like, I really can't think of any. Weird. I think we all have some sort of childhood thing that should have probably seen us dead. What's yours? An activity that you did, a circumstance that you happened to be in that place at that time kind of situation. I don't know. It's fascinating to think about all the reasons I shouldn't be here. Anyways, thank you for watching. If I think of any more childhood traumas that I can share, I'll make a part 2. I'll see you then.